Happy Thursday. Welcome into Let's Bet It. Lauren Jbara here with Jared Smith. We got week 2 of NFL kicking off tonight at FedEx Field. Lots to talk about, Jared. First of all, we missed you yesterday. How was your Wednesday? What'd you do?
It was good. We taped the show Pickswise Playbook. Obviously, Chris Rose and Ross Tucker, incredible. Very excited for that to come out this week. And I heard through the grapevine that the plus money assassin struck again last night. The Mile High. How about those Rockies?
It nice feels pick. Good. It feels really good. Yeah, Rockies money line at plus 180. Why the heck not? It hit. I feel good about it today. We got a lot more plus money bets coming at you. So just buckle on up, saddle up, and get ready for it because we are getting right into it. Today, we're talking about Premier Picks, Premier League picks. We have the one and only writer, John Hyslop, but I'm calling him Hyslop because I like calling him Sloppy John. We deep dive into Thursday Night Football, Giants at Washington, and then we will all give our Pickswise play of the day, our best bets. Lot to get to, so little time. Without further ado, let's bet it. All right, let's talk about some Premier picks. So I want to get into the EPL. Let's take it across the pond. Cristiano Ronaldo back in the EPL for Man United. That's the biggest storyline of the weekend, his return to Old Trafford. The 36-year-old legend made his second debut for United in a 4-1 victory over Newcastle. He scored 2 goals. And then Arsenal, they're almost at the bottom of the table. They managed to win its first match in 4 tries, 1-0 victory over Norwich City. They still have a ton of work left to do after the abysmal start that they've had so far. Jared, I know you're a big EPL bettor. You're a big football bettor in general. Why? Where do you see the value? Why do you like betting on it?
Oh, we love the footy. You know, it actually started. So I have some, close friends that I've known for a very long time. They're really into European soccer, and they've been trying to get me into it for years. The pandemic really accelerated that for me because, in May and June, obviously the pandemic happened, last March, and then, sports started to come back May and June. But it was actually the Bundesliga in Germany and some of the other European leagues that were the first sports to come back, among some of the first sports to come back. So I was forced. There wasn't anything else to bet on, so I kind of had to lean into it a little bit.
You were like itching to bet on something.
Absolutely. And the KBO, the times of the games, like that was the first sport to come back, was the Korean Baseball League. But I wasn't vibing there. And I liked, so here's why I like soccer or football, if you want to call it that. So
hit us with it.
In the NBA, you're handicapping 200, 220 points in a game. NFL, 40, 50, college football, 60, 70 points in a game. Mm-hmm. In soccer, the total's pretty much 2.5, like most matches. Like sometimes you get a 3. But for the most part, you're handicapping 2 or 3 moments in a match. Mm-hmm. And for, a novice bettor that, maybe is trying to wrap his head around things, I know the stats can be a little funky and it's not what you're used to with some of the things here in the States. But it also goes back to what we talk about with like value and like following the public. The NFL is the most publicly bet league. Obviously, the sports books know that. They put the most amount of time and resources into those lines. If you're betting on like a random Norwegian soccer match on a Saturday morning, the sports books are not putting that much effort into those lines.
Yeah.
So you do get more of a I would say favorable line. And yes, you're handicapping Norwegian soccer, which is what it is. But there are moments where I do think you get some favorable numbers. So that's why I do kind of like leaning into the footy, as we like to call it a little bit.
Do you have any bets that stand out to you right now that you're eyeing, that you have some money in on?
I do. So in the EPL, I try to stay away from like the big clubs when I can, because again, it goes back to like the NFL. Like those are the lines that you would think that the sports books are paying the most attention to, like the premier, the prime time games. So I'm actually betting on a match, one of my favorite picks of the week, the Wolves on the money line. So they are home. They're taking on Brentford, who's a recently promoted team. And Brentford's really struggled so far. They've only generated 9 shots on target in their first 3 matches. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, Wolves have been kind of unlucky. They've only scored 2 goals so far, but they're generating 7.1 expected goals, which is like this analytical stat that like tells you how many goals you kind of should be scoring. And when you see a big difference between how many goals you've actually scored and the expected goals, you know that a team is playing pretty well, but they're just maybe getting a little unlucky with, the final third. So I'm going on the Wolves this week, I'm going on Wolves this week on the money line. Very short price, -105. Also, one more pick. Crystal Palace has a very interesting match against Liverpool. So Liverpool played a really tough match in the Champions League just a couple of days ago. And now they have to kind of get back into an EPL match this weekend against Crystal Palace, who's actually been pretty good. So Liverpool, that match, it was Wednesday against AC Milan. They were down in that game. Their best player, Mo Salah, had to play the full 90. And that's the uniqueness of the soccer schedules, is they go from Champions League back to their, the English Premier League. And they care a lot about the Champions League. That's a big deal. I could see Liverpool being a little bit sluggish in this one. And Crystal Palace have been playing really well. They beat Tottenham 3-0 last weekend. So I could see Crystal Palace keeping this one close. I feel good about a push at +2. That's a lot of goals to be getting in a football match, soccer match. So I'm going to take Crystal Palace on the spread +2.
You just said football match. Can I hear you say football match?
Football. Footy.
I love it.
Footy.
Jared, you talked about how the NFL is the most bet league. So for more on that, because we're starting off week 2 today, the Giants playing Washington. We have John Hyslop, or Slop, as I like to call him, Pickswise own, a friend to bettors all over the place, and one of our friends. Sloppy John, it's good to have you on the show. How are you doing?
Hey, what's up, guys? Great to be here.
First of all, before we dive into football, I want to talk about you a little bit. How did you get into betting? And how did you get into the Pickswise family in general? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I don't even know when it happened. Like back in the day, there used to be these things called a newspaper, right?
Oh,
and
God, you're
what are those?
yourself.
Yeah, I was like in second grade. You read the sports section, and you're like, "Hey, what does that minus mean or plus mean?" And all the the NFL matchups. That was it. You know what I mean? It was explained to me. I'm like, "Oh, really? Okay, this is fun." And then that was it. I mean, I've just been into it ever since. I don't know how I even got into Pickswise, to be honest with you. Probably Twitter. We crossed paths. They say
they dragged you in.
Yeah, they just got me. And here we are.
Here we are, baby, talking about week 2, Thursday night football. Giants are making a habit of getting into a slow start. They haven't posted their first win prior to week 3 since, do you guys know when? 2016, which is crazy. Sorry, I didn't even give you time to answer. But Jared, I'm going to start with you. Looking at tonight's game, it's just not that exciting, but there are some things to get in on. What are you seeing? What picks are you liking? And just break down what you're expecting from tonight's game.
It was kind of funny. We were both in our Google spreadsheet last night doing research, and I wrote, "I hate this game," and then I noticed like 5 minutes later, you said, "I also hate this game," next to your name. So we're writing notes to each other in the Google spreadsheet, which is very funny. But also, it does seem like we kind of have the same vibe on this game. And Slop, I know you kind of have a similar vibe. This is an ugly game. The NFC East has been an ugly division for the last couple of years, and these two teams have personified that. The quarterback change for Washington makes things a little more intriguing because the books could be wrong on Taylor Heineke. He could be actually an upgrade from Ryan Fitzpatrick in certain areas, or it could be a downgrade in certain areas. But the thing that I keep going back to in this game is just the weakness up front for the Giants and the strength up front for Washington. Say what you want about Justin Herbert having a relatively good performance last Sunday, but they still held him to just 20 points, and I think this Washington defense is really good. And the Giants' offensive line graded out as the worst unit last week. They were absolutely manhandled by a good Broncos front. They do not get a reprieve this week with Washington. This is a really tough game to cap. I think it's going to be a sloppy one, which is why we've got the Slop on to help break this one down.
I like that transition.
I hate this game too.
I'm glad we're all on the same page, guys.
Yeah, it was fun whenever Ryan Fitzpatrick was going to play. It was like, okay, we might have something to watch. Because I mean, he's fun, and not to take away from Heineke, he's a fun guy too. But it's not the same. To be honest with you, the under is where you probably want to go. Like if you like money, but like if you want action, I don't know what to tell you, man. I mean, there's just not a lot of it going on.
I mean, I look at the under, and I'm betting the under today because you look at last week, Giants mustered up 13 points against a good Denver defense, and the football team only put up 16 against the Chargers. So under 40.5, I feel pretty good about that one. Jared, how do you feel?
Yeah, and I think in that realm, obviously if you feel, and that's the beauty of props, if you don't feel like you have a good vibe about a game, you move into another direction, you move into the props market. That is how I feel about this game. I will say this, if you get 3 with Washington, there are some books that do have that out there. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with laying just a field goal at home in a divisional game on a short week. I tend to lean towards the home teams on the Thursday night games. But if you want some fun props that kind of speak to the sloppy theme of this game, over 5.5 sacks. I mean, Daniel Jones might get sacked 6 times just on his own. Over turnovers, you want to go full game, 2.5. You want to go Giants, it's 1.5. I wouldn't probably lay the amount of juice you're going to have to lay for the over 2.5 full turnovers. But over 1.5 Giants turnovers is even money I saw on Caesars. I mean, that's not bad. I think Jones could, eclipse that on his own. But this is a really tough game to get a feel for because it's a divisional game and it's the Thursday night, the first true Thursday night game where it's a short week for both teams.
Slop, can I, excuse me, I want to talk to you about something because we're just getting to know each other. But I love betting plus money. I love a good underdog. And speaking of that, just so you know, at the beginning of the season, I bet the Giants to win the NFC East at plus 450. I don't know what the hell I was thinking, but at the same time, you know what? I got to ride my Giants train right now, and I'm taking the money line, plus 160 today.
Wow.
Can I tell you why?
Please.
So the Giants only had 6 victories last year. 2 of them, guess what, were against Washington. And Daniel Jones has yet to lose against Washington in 4 meetings against them.
That's undefeated.
I know he's 0-6. I know he's 0-6 in primetime games, but you want to know what that means? One's coming because you can't go 0-7, right?
He's
going to
due.
be 1-6. And people are going to say, Washington's D will eventually break down the Giants O-line. And Saquon was limited to 13 touches last week. And he's still working back from injury. But you know what? Week 1's out of the way. The jitters are out of the way. You're coming into it. I feel good about the Giants money line.
I think Washington's going to kill that kid. But there's still a chance.
So we're not on the same page with
But there's still a chance they could win the game. It's true. But honestly, I'm not taking an under either, and I'm not taking the Giants. So it's
no.
You know what I mean? So
are you
gotta
betting
find a
anything on this game?
No, you have to find a prop. Yes. I mean, it's Thursday.
Give it to us, Slop.
Yeah, you got to go.
Feed us. Feed us.
I still think the books are wrong on Antonio Gibson. Like I think he's a 20 carry guy. Like they're gonna feed him the rock. They did it last week. It kind of worked. I mean, they lost, but it was 2016. So that's not a bad loss to the Chargers. That's a good team. But this week, short week, backup quarterback. If you give him 16 carries, he's gonna get you 75 yards. Like he's done that every time he's ever got 16 carries in his pro career. Like that's a scientific fact. So if he does that again today, we get 67.5. You could take his carries, which I'm not gonna, but it's 15.5. It's minus 125. I just feel like the 67 yards minus 115 is a little bit better. I think 67.5. That's the only thing I got. I mean, you could look at Giants receivers, but good luck there because there's a million of them. Yeah, and what if they get ahead? Now they're not throwing anymore. This game's a mess. But
Slop taking the prop.
Yeah, when in doubt, just go Antonio Gibson.
I love it. Jared, how do you feel about that?
Slop, here's why I like your approach to props. You're not just, hey, the stats say this. It's game script. That's what we talked about before we came on, and I think that plays into the props. Like when we were talking about the Monday night game, it was about the game script of the Raiders are going to be up tempo and Darren Waller revenge game, and I think exactly. Oh, that was exciting how we hit that one.
Luckiest thing I've ever seen in my life.
He had no yards at the 2-minute warning.
0.
That's crazy.
He didn't have a catch.
Many yards as you and I did that night until the last minutes of the game.
Like, wow, there he is.
But the ability to predict game script, I think, is where you find an edge in the props market. Yep. Because if you know going in, Washington's going to have a lead and they're going to lean on Gibson, and you can kind of draw that conclusion between how many carries you get compared to the yards, then you find the cheaper price. You know, you said it was a little more expensive to go the carries attempts than it was to go yards. So you correlate those together and you apply the game script to it. That's how I think you find an edge in the props market. So I like your approach there.
Oh,
I'm also in on Antonio Gibson as well. Oh,
so
sorry.
All we need to happen, so all we need to happen is Gibson to go 75 yards, Daniel Jones to get sacked, 6 times, and then somehow lead a fourth quarter drive to win.
I've seen crazier things happen in the NFL.
I mean, honestly, if that script is written out, I'm going to come back and buy a lottery ticket or something.
That's Scorsese masterpiece.
That could happen. That could happen.
I'm taking Antonio Gibson anytime touchdown at -125. I feel like he could just smash this week. I mean, he had 23 touches last week versus a good Chargers run defense. And he also caught 3 of his 5 targets last Sunday. I know he was limited at practice yesterday, but I don't see a little bit of a shoulder injury keeping him out of the contest. So I feel like it's a lock anytime touchdown at -125. Okay. Before we wrap up, we always do our Pickswise play of the day. We give our bets. Jared, is there a Pickswise 3-star play of the day today, or are we just getting right into it?
Yeah, I mean, Slop, I think you have a baseball play that we'll get to in a second. But today is not a great day on the Major League Baseball card. I believe there's a lot of day games, which also makes things a little funky sometimes. A lot of getaway day.
Fun.
Yeah. It's a tough day in baseball. So I have not seen a 3-star pick today, but I know, Slop, you got a prop that you want to give out for us, right?
Paul Blackburn. Over 2.5 Ks.
Who?
So yeah, some random guy for 2.5 strikeouts. He plays for the A's. They've been letting him go longer. Now he just got Texas and Toronto for 3. He got the Mariners and the White Sox. So he's only pitched 5 times. He only started 5 times. He's gotten 3 Ks in 4 of them. Right?
Wow.
But he's going longer, which is nice. The only reason he didn't go so long last time was because he got waxed, but it was 2.5 innings, or I'm sorry, 2.2 innings. So if he doesn't get hit, he's probably going to go 4 innings. He'll get you 3. I mean, he's not going to get you a ton. He's going against the Royals. They don't strike out a lot, but they don't. True. They also strike out. Mm-hmm. He's got Santana in that lineup. Hunter Dozier could be good for 2. Mondesi. There's guys that will strike out, but 3, I mean, come on. Like, you could accidentally get 3 strikeouts.
Lauren could get 3 strikeouts in a Major League Baseball game.
Yes, 3 strikeouts. It's reminiscent of the Manning play yesterday, that Matt Manning Tigers.
You nailed that one. You crushed that one. He had 6 innings.
Were you watching, though? In the second inning, the kid had the bases loaded.
Yeah.
It looked like it was just like, oh, God, like, here we go. But he got out of it and then somehow got home. Well, Blackburn, I think the same type of thing is going to happen in this game. Like, give me 3 innings. Kid gets 3, gets taken out. We win. Everyone just waits until the football game.
Love it.
I love it.
That's my plan for the day.
I like it. Play of the day. Jared, I know you have yours on Thursday Night Football game tonight. Hit us with it.
Yeah, so the props to me, I trust Slop on his Gibson read. If you want to have some fun tonight,
Slop in the prop.
I trust Slop's props. So I'm going to tail him on Gibson. And to that vein, I'm going to kind of back the game script here. Now, I think it's moved a little bit off of 3. I found a 3 very early this morning on DraftKings. I don't think it's there anymore. I would not really be that excited about a 3 and a hook here. But at 3, we went back and forth about this stat, the Daniel Jones stat. I'm going to poke a hole in it. Daniel Jones is 4-0 against Washington, but here are the 4 quarterbacks that he's beaten. Kyle Allen, Alex Smith, Dwayne Haskins, and Case Keenum.
Those are not exactly Hall of Famers.
Yeah, not exactly a Mount Rushmore of NFL quarterbacking. So, Daniel Jones, I know he hasn't won a primetime game. He's due. Well, he hasn't lost to Washington, so he's due there. So I think Washington wins this game. I'd be way more comfortable laying just 3 because the total is low, so the points matter. But I think that's where my best bet's going to be. I was able to grab the 3 this morning on DraftKings, so I feel okay giving it out. If you want to buy the hook,
can I say something in counter to that? So you're saying Taylor Heineke? is up there in the Mount Rushmore.
Heineke played really well against the Bucks in that playoff game last year.
Yeah, everybody goes right back to the Bucks.
That's the only game. And I'll say this: the stats on Sunday, he came cold off the bench, and he completed 70% of his passes, and he does offer a little bit different with his legs than Fitzpatrick does. I don't know if I compare them completely apples to apples. Listen, I don't love this at all. I wouldn't recommend, going, betting the mortgage on the football team tonight. But if I had to play a side here and I'm only laying 3, I feel better about Washington at home. So I'll lay the field goal with the football team. I'll hold my nose and hope Heineke doesn't perform like a Heine tonight.
Honestly, I want to see him do well, but I also want to hit my bet. So you know what? I can root for both.
Not too well.
Something that's just I'm going to give you guys a hot take. It might be a spicy hot take. It might be a cold take. If you guys think Daniel Jones anytime touchdown at plus 450, why the hell not? Plus 20 assassin back at it again. And did you know that Daniel Jones has the 7th most quarterback rushing yards last year? He ran for more yardage than Josh Allen did. So after not getting much offense going last weekend, he ran one in versus a tired Denver defense. Why are you saying he can't do it again? Washington's defense is tougher to run over, but you got to risk it for the biscuit. So I am taking that. Daniel Jones, anytime touchdown, plus 450. I love plus money.
I'll be really impressed.
Did you see that touchdown he ran for last week?
Yeah.
They snapped the ball and the Broncos started walking off the field.
I know.
Just ran in.
Well, I wasn't going to mention that part, okay? Thank you for
but guess what?
entire bet.
But the bright side of that is everyone who bet Daniel Jones anytime touchdown, they all won. So
it's true.
That's a fact.
That's all that matters.
Why can't you do it again, baby?
And by the way, the Let's Bet It play of the day standings, Lauren Jbara is in the catbird seat right now. Mm-hmm. So who are we to judge at this point of the proceedings?
We're going to leave it at that while I'm sitting up on my pedestal. That's it for us today. Find us on the Pickswise YouTube channel. Go to Pickswise.com. Follow us on Twitter. Jared Smith, John Hyslop, Sloppy John, Lauren Jbara. Best of luck tonight. We'll be back tomorrow to break it all down. Thursday night football, baby. We'll see you tomorrow. Let's get it. Let's bet it.